Do you expect this rivalry to develop with LeBron in town now?
I really do. I mean, he's had a rivalry with Golden State for the past 4 years, essentially. I mean, and I think Golden State looks at him as a rivalry as well. So him being in Los Angeles, with the culture here in Los Angeles, with the championships that they've won, Golden State being the team that they are, I think they are looking at this as some type of rivalry. And for the game tonight, I think that first quarter is going to be exciting to watch because I think both teams are going to play their starters and let them play a little bit and get a taste of how this is going to be during the regular season. And all you fans out there, you better watch ESPN tonight and watch the Lakers against Golden State. I'm just saying, check it out. First and third quarter, you don't have to rest it off. Check it out. First and third quarter, you don't have to rest it off.
And halftime.
First and third quarter.
Yeah.
Coach, I know these are your guys.
What you trying to say, Amin? What you trying to say?
Look, he signed for 4 years.
Right.
At least 3 years with that option.
Right.
There's got a lot of time for them to build up to being a rivalry.
I agree with you there.
As we stand today, it ain't no rivalry. In the words of Clubber Lang, do you accept the challenge? I do not accept the challenge because it is no challenge. That's where it is right now. It's not even close.
So you're saying that this matchup will be pain?
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. Rival with the Warriors, Lakers are trying to make the playoffs, man.
Right.
Playoffs? Yeah, So it's a lot of steps before you get to be a rival with the Warriors. But obviously, what Coach said is true. Whenever it's LeBron James versus the Warriors, I mean, we've seen it in the finals for 4 straight years. Yeah. LeBron James and any 4 dudes against the Warriors is going to capture people's imagination. And I'm not one of those people who says, oh, you got to do it in the playoffs or whatever. Look, if it's something that every time these two people meet, we all tune in and watch, that's a rivalry, man. Knicks-Heat was a rivalry. Yeah. Bulls-Knicks was a rivalry. These things are all rivalries.
Yeah, it is interesting, though, because it's become more about individuals, right, in regards to these rivalries. Kevin Durant versus Russell Westbrook. I still think Lakers-Celtics has some cachet to it, certainly. I think that this, as you pointed out, could become something. Hence the question, can it become a rivalry? So the answer to that is
not this year.
Okay,
become, not become. Long-term.
Stretch that out a little bit.
I'm gonna be quiet.
All right, as I mentioned earlier, Lonzo Ball is slated to make his preseason debut tonight after a minor knee surgery this offseason. So, Amin, what would constitute a successful season for Lonzo?
Well, first of all, I want to say that I thought he had a solid season last year. I think a lot of people made a lot to do about his shooting, which they should have, but he was a guy, kind of like we talked about Jimmy Butler. When he was on the floor, they were a better team, right? They played better. They played faster. They shared the ball more. So his impact was felt from a plus-minus standpoint. But for me, the three-point shooting is one thing. It's the finishing at the rim. Coach, he was bottom 5 in the league at finishing at the rim. He shot less than 48% in the restricted area. That can't be. And I actually got the opportunity to ask him about it. I said, why were you such a bad finisher? And he said, honestly, we watched a lot of film, him and Magic and Coach Walton, and then he was shying away. He was shying away from contact and not seeking the contact. And that was making it harder for him because instead of negating the shot blockers, getting in their body.
Get your body into them,
He's trying to adapt to them and taking harder shots.
Which makes them even more effective because now they go up there, they can block it or alter the shot. And I think with Lonzo this year being in the weight room, that added weight is going to give him that confidence to be able to go to the basket a little bit more aggressive and finish better. But I look at his season last year, and I agree with Amin. He had a really good season for a rookie with some of the things he had to go through. He plays at a different level when those guys are out there with him. Now you add LeBron and some of the other guys. I think for him, if you look at just from a strictly number standpoint, if he averaged 13, 8, and 8, that's a very successful season because last year at 10, 7, and 7. So that is something that he can definitely do. But then you have to look at the other things. You got to look at the statistics from the field goal percentage shooting, from like you said, from finishing in the basket, 3-point per shooting, and free throws and things of that nature.
That was going to be my next point. Was the free throw shooting? I mean, he was poor from the line, but also a lot of that is, if he initiates that contact, he will get to the line
much more.
And another thing, coming off a pick and roll, he's a really good passer, but in this league, you have to be aggressive. You got to be aggressively searching for your shot because otherwise they play you for the pass, and that takes away a lot of the options. But again, this guy, he's been watching film with Magic on one side and Rondo on the other side. And so, his basketball education is going to be kicked into high gear now.
Yeah, he's on a PhD program, basically, at this point. All right, the Lakers have a bunch of cap space next summer, and they'll be looking to add another star to their roster currently. Our Brian Windhorst wrote a column today exploring whether the superstars will want to play with LeBron. Windhorst got LeBron's former teammate, Kevin Love, to go on the record about the difficulties of playing with James. Here's what Kevin had to say. you have to be resilient. I had a lot of hard nights. There were some dark times, but I always believed you keep fighting. I was stubborn about it, and LeBron makes sure that you have a chance to win every single year. He's got a lot of guys, a lot of rings. Byron, do you think LeBron can attract a superstar this coming offseason?
Absolutely. And again, when I look at LeBron, I think of Magic Johnson. You know, and guys are saying, you know, in this league, it's difficult to play with LeBron James. Why? How? He makes everybody better. He's a willing passer. He's all about the team. Magic Johnson, same thing. So do I think he can attract a guy? Absolutely. I think there's a free agent superstar that's looking at this Laker team and going to keep their eye on this team the whole season to see how they're doing and see if they can be that final piece to the puzzle to get them to the point where they can challenge Golden State next year. So I do think, without a shadow of a doubt, that he can attract a superstar, another superstar to this Los Angeles team.
Me too. Look, this is, like Coach said, man, you're going to be open in ways that you never. Coach, first time you played with Magic Johnson, do you remember the first time you got hit in the head by a ball that you didn't know you were as open?
Well, I never did because I made sure. Hey, look, AC Green got hit in the head with the ball because he wasn't watching, but not me. But like you said, he makes your job so much easier. Yeah. So why wouldn't you want to play with him? Magic Johnson made me where I could just stand in the corner and say, okay, when they double, you just throw it this way, I'll knock it down for you.
And playing with LeBron can escalate your game. Now, I'm not one of the people who thinks that everybody who plays with LeBron gets their game escalated. There's some guys who, it's a tough adjustment.
Right.
Dwayne Wade, George, you know this, it took him about a year to figure out how I need to move off ball.
Right.
Because up until that point, Wade had the ball in his hands every time. If you're a ball-dominant player, there is an adjustment there. But you got to figure out that, look, we're going to go as far as that guy carries us.